you know, it kind of brings you back to when you were a teenager and used to hang out with people for long periods of time. Brought that innocent, fun, free feeling of just really just having the crack.
Here at the gates of the Cathedral of Farms, our pilgrimage representing an ancient journey, these hold out their hands, receiving the beautiful blessing of a peace. If the pilgrims would please step forward, to you shall begin.
May your hearts be gently softened by water from the well, and may your fears be washed away by water from the well. May entanglements dissolve with water from the well, and may your imagination be inspired by water from the well, and may your soul's thirst be quenched by water from this well.
Feeling lots of emotions together and walking through that together, you know. I just loved just being focused on that one thing together for that week and nothing else.
There were a lot of intimate performances along the route.
Why they're called Uilleann is the old Irish word for elbow.
Something about the heart of that sound, of the pitch of it, I think, and the type of sound. It's like almost like it goes straight to your heart.
Right.
It's not difficult to think of a pilgrimage as something performed because it has a clear kind of beginning and end. It is something with an intention. It has a clear structure to it. You have an empty stage and someone walks across it, and this is theatre. You know, well, I guess the empty stage is the pathway, and as soon as a group of people decide that they're going to make that journey, to me there's some element of performing something that you've all committed to together.
Amidst this like flow of conversation and walking, finding these more static and still moments where we would stop, there was suddenly this opportunity to try out my own voice in those spaces as an artist, to be with this group of people who are immediately there in that moment to witness it and to hold space and to listen with you. And that's quite rare, to have that held and witnessed.
I think I'd like to leave some gaps as well so that I can hear them.
The images that come to mind initially, the wood, walking in the wood with the birds singing so strongly because it was the beginning of May, feeling just like I could just relax and breathe and go with the flow.
Now you're going to, so we'll start with our right foot here, yeah? You're going to bring it out. So you're going to lift it up and back at that same rhythm. So we'll do it really big first before we do it right. We'll be like up, 2, 3, yeah? So we're going 1, 2, 3, up, 2, 3, up, 2, 3, and up, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and back.
Being able to just have that space to walk with people, working against the grain of what society expects of people now, which is a productivity mindset. And the productivity mindset is to, always be working towards things to show how worthy you are of the rest or of the day off. And so was stripping it back to the roots of just humans being on this land and enjoying how our bodies can just bring us through these different landscapes, feel these different emotions, and experience all of that together.
The other surprise was the arrival at Ladies Island. What was special about that route was I really didn't know what was coming. I felt a real need to be quiet with the place and be with the sound of the place. I was quite fascinated by that tern colony, which again I didn't expect. So standing there and seeing the terns and tuning into wide water and wide skies.
The older I get, the more I strip back my outlook on this land in Ireland and my country, well, our country, everyone's country. You just find a deeper appreciation for what was here before us and the healing, the collective healing that is happening, and more of it that needs to happen. And by connecting to the land through a way of a Camino and a pilgrimage really brings you back to your roots, that raw love that's in everyone, but it's just not maybe visible yet for some people, of how important our land and our culture is, and how the healing within us is right here on our doorstep.
You could feel that ancientness of it as a sacred place, but also in terms of the female and the feminine. Of course, it's no surprise that it was female druids who were there, and then it became, a place of pilgrimage in relation to Our Lady in Catholicism. So that's not a much told story.
Walking around the island, it's really beautiful. I think we walked silently for a bit, and so we really did hear and look and use other senses. And I remember at the end of that talking about, the myth of the banshee, which is an Irish character. The thing is that if you find a comb lying on the ground, you're not meant to pick it up because it is a portent of death. Anyway, we suddenly saw a comb. Bonnie and I had been telling the story, and then we suddenly saw this comb, which was extraordinary, and it was on Ladies Island, and we had this idea that we were going to free the banshee from these these constraints, and so I think Susie picked it up.
We're liberating the banshee!
Whoa, Ladies Island! Why does she have to?
Very funny and lovely memory, and I remember feeling like they were my allies.
We reached the coast and the beach, and there was this moment of walking barefoot, I think at this point, seeing the sea and knowing that we were going to cross it, and it felt really significant after having reached there by foot. Okay, whoa, now I'm crossing and going going back to my homeland, and the fact that I was kind of returning back there and coming home, and sort of personally what that meant after having moved around so much in the last sort of 7 or 8 years, and then having the opportunity to sort of experience this homecoming. And it was such a beautiful day. Like, the sun was quite strong that day, like really early summer sunshine, and the sea was really clear, and we were all chatting like, oh, we're gonna go for a swim, are we not gonna go for a swim? We were like, definitely gonna go for a swim. And it was just, yeah, like this crystal clear water, and just feeling really grateful.
But I remember by the time we got to the ferry, I had nothing left in me, and for me the crossing was very powerful. I don't know why it was. I really, to this day, don't know why it was. It might have been that I was just really tired, and it was day 3. But for me, it might be something to do with the sort of straddling of these two countries that I do. I don't know what that was about, the sort of difficulty of leaving and the joy of arriving. But something happened for me on that ferry. It sort of felt like I didn't want to go. And then when I got to Pembrokeshire, I was so happy to be there when I got there.
I gofio am y pethau angofiedig, a'r goll yn awr yn llwch yr amser gynt. Fel ewyn ton a dir a draethell unig, fel can y gwynt, lle nid oes glist a glew. Mi wn ei bod yn galw'n ofer arnom, hen bethau angofiedig dynol rhyw. Champ a chelfyddyd y cenhedloedd cynnar, aneddau bychain a neuaddau mawr, a chwedlau cain a chwalwyd ers cynrifoedd. Y diwiau, naw i'r neb amdanynt nawr.
It was made more intimate. That day was that day of the mist. It seemed to create something quite special for us. And maybe in terms of that intimacy as well, because we couldn't really see the wide horizon around us. You're more focused in on that monument.
For me, on the cusp of elderhood, as it were, so, you know, for me it was very much a transition between my younger self and my older self, because I'm 53, that there's that feeling that, you know, who am I going to be as an older person? And I think stepping into that next stage of life, you know, there's a sort of feeling of urgency of who am I, of really properly finding out who you are and remembering who you are.
If I didn't push through the pain and things that I do, my mental health would suffer hugely, and I would say I've pulled out, you know, sat at home and missed out on an amazing opportunity. But by pushing through, it means it still comes with its extreme moments of pain where I can't, and you almost fear, and because it has been said to me as well, that there can be a judgment there. Oh, is she really feeling that pain? Or is she, like, look at her, she's dancing over there and all of a sudden she can't walk. I literally limped to our last location and like tried to hide it so much, because this is on me, but it's also on me from very real experiences. You almost get punished for really pushing through. And what I mean by that is it's an ongoing narrative with people with chronic pain conditions. You don't ever have to prove how much pain you're in. It's totally your own experience, but it's just it can be difficult when you feel that energy and eyes upon you that maybe just don't understand it. What it did do, that experience, is it just gave me another like tap on the shoulder to be like, right, you're not where you need to be, so let's work at this again.
So we're on the last day and we're doing our last bit of walking, and yeah, there's this feeling of relief. I remember feeling so tired, excited about getting to St. David's. I can see St. David's in the distance. That's amazing to kind of be walking towards this destination. It was really sunny, it's sunny weather, and walking up the road with everyone, feeling very, very fond of everybody around me.
It feels like so long ago that we were in Ireland. I can't believe this week has been
So
a
wild.
week, not a month or even a year.
Quiet entrance into St. David's. The kind of lightness of it, that's the sensation I have of that cathedral. It's like, it's a huge building, but it's light. Once we'd all had our private moment, the official procession.
Final location at St. David's was just electric. Felt my heart and soul felt so connected to the land and the people, even though I don't live there. It was just it was an overall human experience feeling, because when we got there and the cheering, the huge puppet, the energy and the effort, it's kind of similar to a feeling that you get when you're on stage as a performer, that kind of reception of love and like welcome. And
suddenly there was this huge crowd and huge emotion just for having achieved what we'd achieved, and also the feeling of us having been just us, and then suddenly we weren't just us anymore, we were dispersed again, and the end of our little time together.
There's an expectancy of what's about to happen. People are arriving, we're preparing the ground, ready for that moment when the fade out of the hubbub and you get that, oh, the performance has begun now.
Wasn't able to come out until the very end because it was an authentic reaction to our experience, but it's kind of frightening. None of us really knew what it was going to be. That had literally come out of talking to each other and singing along the way, and just as artists being able to understand how each other think and approach things.
I walked with you, alongside our hearts. Always the refrain of water flowing and the singing of birds. It is possible to be alone with God, but not to live this life alone and survive. I am tired to the bones, and we're down to the bones of it.
we felt really supported and like the group was at our back, literally, and that we were kind of expressing something on behalf of everyone. It didn't feel like it was just us doing that.
But if there's anything that you want to just leave, not about the trip, but the reason perhaps why you came on the trip in the first place, then we'll just leave it by the stone here. And
Can I throw it away?
you can throw it. I mean, if you want to, we'll go to the sea and we'll lob it in the water as far as we can. Maybe see if we can hit Wexford.
And maybe scream.
So,
Out loud.
so yeah, I mean, if you want to leave it here, that's fine. If you want to chuck it in the sea, we'll get out.
No wonder Tipperary are going to win the All-Ireland.
Some really big problems. I'm ready. No, the real one.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
She was trying really hard to run as fast as she could towards these big goals. I think out of fear that she'd missed out on time, or that time was running away from her through dropping out of that, taking a step back, taking a breath, being away from that pace for a week and a bit, made her realise that it was only me that was putting that pressure on myself. There was a moment that I shared with Kate and Bonnie and Elsa on Our Lady's Island, where I just suddenly felt this kind of letting go. It's such a different way to reach meaning and truth and realisation through space and through time and through connection with other people. And so by slowing down and just letting it rise up out of you, and I'm sure that the landscape aided that, wide horizons and the wide sky and the space and the kind of reflection of the stories of the ladies on the island that had come before us, and the mysticism around it and the folklore and the poetry. It's all very evocative.
I had this idea that I was going to wear this dress on the Camino, and there were going to be times when I was going to be stitching what was going on in my head. That didn't happen. I was completely exhausted, didn't have 1 second to do anything like that. I do remember doing a tiny bit of spit stitching on a misty wall somewhere, and then in a garden, was it in Johnstown maybe? That dress was worn every day and it was very comfortable. And I've continued to do stuff on it, but I realise now it's a work in progress. It might go on for years, actually. We'll see what happens next. And then this, I suddenly badly needed some red since I've got all this menopausal fire in my body. I thought I need a sort of swirling female redness in there somewhere, so I might build on that. It's not going to just be a map. It's going to be its own thing. I don't know what it is. So yeah, it's getting brighter.
Go for another.
Love and laughter. Come on, Peggy. Peggy's got to do that. Wait. Peggy, come on, take it seriously. Okay. Come on. Wait, does one do
Flapjacks. His name's Peggy the Pilgrim. It's been a very inspirational time. Met beautiful people. Beautiful people, sorry. So I'd like to thank everyone for the boiled eggs, the good times, the laughs. Live, laugh, boiled eggs.
Love it.